Up next, one of my favorite segments, man, where we talk to the creatives like ourselves, people who are in industry and who have made some moves within the industry. So next up, we have a special guest with us. Today we have Derek Jennings.
Yes, Derek Jennings is not just a friend of ours. He is a great producer, director, writer, creator. He has done some great work on ABC's Stumptown. He is also a producer on the greatest of their era with Seth Curry. He is also a visionary behind the Tao of Muhammad Ali, the story that delves deep into legacy, identity, and soul. So today, man, we got my guy Derek Jennings here. Derek, what's up, man?
Derek, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? What's going on, JT? What up, Bruce?
Chilling, man.
Good. How you feeling, man?
Hey, I'm feeling alive. So, every day is a blessing,
Oh, yeah,
So,
man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I had the night shift, the overnight shift with our youngest last night. He's one.
Uh-oh.
My son,
wow.
my son Onyx, shout out to Onyx, and my baby girl Ennery. So,
Shout out.
after a while, you learn to just run on with the tank on E, but it's a blessing. It's a blessing. So, just putting one foot in front of the other, man. Thank you for having me. I'm really honored and humbled to have been invited to the platform.
Man,
And
appreciate you
chop it up
being
as
on,
we
man.
do.
Like for those who
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know, Derek has worked with JT and I. He's helped us out tremendously on some projects that we've worked on, giving us a lot of advice. Excellent, very, very creative person, man. And that's some of the things we want to get into with you today, Derek. Just talk about some of the projects that you worked on, what you working on currently, and just kind of what you're looking forward to coming up in the future.
I'm at your disposal. I'm an open book, so go ahead and ask away, and we'll chop it up as we always do.
Yeah, Bruce, and we're gonna have to get this right because this is in his wheelhouse.
I know.
And we're amateurs at the
Yeah,
podcast
that's right.
thing.
That's right.
This man is a professional, so we got to make sure we get this right. Or
You got to do it right.
Or
Gotta
Derek
do it
gonna say, "Hey, man, I'm disappointed in you."
I guess I got some notes.
Okay, that's right. I'll be waiting for the emails and the calls later. But man, let's get into this. I know you don't have much time. You're a busy man.
That's right.
So, but we're going to talk about one of the first shows that I knew that you was a writer on when we first met, and I heard you was a writer on this show. I was like, man, I actually watched this show. Yeah. So, what drew you to write for Stumptown, and how did you get involved in the show?
Yeah, I mean, what drew me to it was the opportunity, to be honest with you. So, prior to that, I was working for a showrunner of Stumptown by the name of Jason Richmond. And he had an overall deal at the studio, at ABC Studio. And I had worked with him sometime prior to that, actually, about 10 years prior, when I was a young little whippersnapper. I was like 26 or so, working on his first show called Detroit 187. I had attended the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, so that's how I petitioned for the opportunity to be on site and on location in Detroit. And that was my film school, really. And so, his question to me was like, yo, D, like, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to create and showrun eventually when the time is right. Not right now, but ultimately that's one of the end goals. And he said, okay, I'll show you how the sausage is made. And to answer your question in a very long-winded way, it was all actually kind of like a fateful mistake, because there's more than one Jason Richmond, and someone sent the graphic novel Stumptown, which was created by Greg Rucka, accidentally to the Jason Richmond I was working for, meaning to send it to the other one. So I was like, Jason, let's check out Stumptown. So I read it all. I read all volumes of the graphic novel. I did coverage on it and talked about the pros and cons of it, and he rocked with it. And so we put a pitch together. We broke the pilot together in our office. And he said, yeah, okay, so this is what a writer's room is like, the process that we just went through together. And I was just there to learn and to provide input wherever possible. And it got greenlit. And I'm thinking, cool. All right, bet I'm about to be a writer on this thing. He's like, nah, you could be the writer's assistant in the room. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm in the room. And that's how I got my go. They gave me the freelance episode 110, Reality Checks Don't Bounce. And we were able to have TK Carter as their guest star, able to have Mike Epps as our guest star, able to have Aaron Jennings, my brother, as a guest star. And we rocked it, man. It was the first episode. It was a first and only script that was submitted, the first draft that was production draft that was submitted, where the studio and network canceled their notes call and said just send it on through. So, or excuse me, not the production draft, the writer's draft, which then just skipped studio network and went straight into the production draft. So basically, when I got back in the room after my episode wrap, after I finished post, they were like, congratulations, you're staffed. So now I went from a writer's assistant to a staff writer within the same season. And that was cool. And then the next thing he said, and further congrats, you're writing the finale with Jason, with the showrunner. So I got 2 episodes that season. And it was a very full circle moment because I had broken the pilot with him when we were trying to get a greenlit for the studio. So the opportunity to kind of collaborate with him again and bring it on home. In hindsight, we did get a season 2 and I was granted the opportunity to return, which I'm grateful for. Unfortunately, the season 2 never went into production. So that ended up not only being the season finale, but the series finale as well.
Oh,
so,
wow. So you mentioned your brother earlier. I know both your parents are also in the industry. So it's in your DNA, but growing up around it or coming up around it, did you always know that this is something you wanted to do?
To a degree, it was, it's the whole nature versus nurture debate, right? And what's in you versus what's around you and that sort of thing. And I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. I come from a family of very talented and passionate actors. Brent Jennings is my father. Lifelong character actor, worked very heavily throughout the 80s and 90s and so forth, and still to this day.
Still to this day,
yeah.
His most, notable film, it seems at this point in his career, is Life, telling about the gun line boss, Hoppin' Bob. So so that's my OG
Bob,
right there.
Right.
Hoppin' Bob. And he has some really fun stories from that filming experience. I mean, that was like, Bernie was there trying out material for the Kings of Comedy.
Imagine.
They were just his guinea pigs, during between takes to try new material, and all the brothers that were there. He said it was a really fun time. My mother is Juanita Jennings. She works nonstop. She was just in Toronto, the new smash hit with Aldous Hodge. She plays Cross. Technically she's his grandmother, but most people assume she's his mother.
Yeah.
Right.
But according to the actual material, she's the grandmother. So she was on Cross and Meet the Browns and a million other things. She's in Vancouver right now. She just touched down filming with my brother. I got him right here.
Morris Chestnut.
Morris. Yeah. So she's up there filming with him right now. And my brother Aaron Jennings, he was a regular on Grand Crew. They did 2 seasons. Yeah, about a group of friends who hang out at a wine bar in the east side of LA, and the antics that they get into and the friendships that develop. And he did 2 seasons there as a regular. He was the lead in King Headley, which is the August Wilson play. Did that in Pasadena, and he was also just most recently a regular on the Dexter prequel reboot. So you can catch them there as well on Showtime. So that's the fam bam right there. So I'm just trying to keep up with them. I remember my dad said to me one time, he said, "You're too smart to just be an actor," and he had done a pilot, I think it was 413 Hope Street with Damon Wayans. And he told me one day that Damon told him, if you can write, you can eat, and I have a very deep respect for the Wayans family, for all of them and all generations of them, because they're literally creating opportunity for themselves and others, and it's like a jobs program, and so that's what kind of started to stimulate more of me, and I found an ability to use more of myself in a more writing producerial type of role. I'm plenty fine just being in the background. I don't need to be all on the video, dancing, singing, I'm cool. We could all eat, and I get a deeper satisfaction of creating opportunities and also being a part of a project from inception all the way through.
Yeah, that's what's up, man.
But I did do other things, though. I used to be a first grade school teacher. I have a really soft spot for children. So that was my
That's my first time ever hearing this, man.
First time ever. First time ever. All the conversations we've had, and this is the first time I ever heard school teacher.
How long did you teach?
Just a year, man. Just a year, and then I got to it. But it was my first job out of college. I did Teach for America, and so I moved on. I continued to mentor and do a lot of tutor and mentor and all that stuff, which I still mentor to this day. But yeah, I used to be a school teacher. First grade.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
I've always felt called to help others. I'm an older sibling, and I think that was a very key teaching to me as a kid. Like, okay, you gotta look out for your brother, and he's looking up at you, so you gotta set the example, and so on and so forth. And no matter what I'm doing, I'm teaching, man. Because I believe, a candle does not lose its light by igniting another candle. It's just more light. So it's necessary, and it also pushes the medium forward, and it keeps people sharp. Iron sharpens iron, but you got to be careful.
Yeah. Man, I can remember telling Bruce early on in our relationship with you how I was talking to you one night about a project that we all are working on together, and it was in the very beginning. You were trying to grip your mind around this particular project, and you had other things going on, but you would listen to me. You would listen to me, and one night it was just you and I. We were going back and forth over this thing, and the next thing I know, I started getting text message after text message after text message after text message, and I called Bruce. I said, Bruce, I think Derek is on the team now. And Bruce said, why do you think that? I said, man, I got my 15 text messages back to back about this show. I was like, so that to me, man, again, that just, it has always been a blessing to me and Bruce as well.
Because it meant a lot.
Yeah, it meant the whole lot, man. And so
it was an equal blessing. I mean, I believe when you pour into others, you're also pouring into yourself. And for me, at that point in time, and what I was had going on in my life, what I had going on in my career, and all those things, it was a great opportunity to continue to get more 10,000 hours and to be able to assume not a leadership position, but to allow my experience to guide a process.
Yeah.
And ideas turn me on, so once it clicks for me, I can't turn it off. And we got it to a place where I was like, okay. And I think, again, this goes back to me saying, when I was working for Jason Richmond, he goes, what do you want to do? Be a showrunner? Okay, I'm gonna teach you how to, and I'm sitting in these rooms. It's like, well, let me put this in the, there's no excuse not to get those reps in. You got to find opportunities and create opportunities so that when the game comes, you're ready. And so I looked at it as a great opportunity to kind of get some scrimmages in, work on my skills as a showrunner, as an aspiring showrunner, and work with some brothers who I knew would be receptive to me. And so I say it was a very dual blessing, and I understood the gravity of the opportunity at the time. And so I thank you as well.
Oh man,
I appreciate
it's a
that,
blessing. But man, let's talk about some of your projects and things that you are known for. So the Dow Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Tell us about that. Share that with the people.
Cool, man. So it started out, the very first iteration of the project. It is an international best-selling memoir, and it's a cult classic, best-selling in the UK and Japan. Beautifully written by Davis Miller, who has become more than a partner to me now and at this phase of things, but like a brother, a big brother, a best friend. To read a book where you have a white man doting on a black man who himself was fighting to be respected and to impart self-respect in his people. And for a man of that time to recognize that and to say, I want to be like him and I'm going to let him guide my steps, and I find my own self-realization, I think is a powerful thing. And I think it's a story that the world, and particularly our country, needs right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it started as a memoir, and then it was being adapted as a podcast by Imagine Entertainment, with Ron Howard and Brian Grazer. And
Two of my favorites.
so that was pretty cool to be able to work, under that banner, and ultimately ended up showrunning the project. And it had been kind of floating around for a few years. It wasn't really getting going. And when I kind of came in there and I kind of kickstarted and got the train out the station, and me having the opportunity to kind of be the Quincy Jones of it all, just kind of like being the maestro. It was a very profound opportunity, and to have to study Brother Ali really, stirred something inside of me. And Davis, he's very ambitious, and you meet him, you would not think he's 74. He has a lot of life in him, and he's talking about what he wants to do to adapt the podcast to a feature or like TV. And I said, oh, okay, hold on. Let's just make the best podcast it could be. And if we do that, the rest will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. So now we're at the stage where he and I are full-on partners, and we've created an incredible multimedia deck that lays out the whole anthology series. And the Tao of Ali is just a slice of that. We get into the Tao of Bruce Lee in season 2 because he was kidnapped by Bruce Lee's mistress. And it's about him trying to escape China and getting back to the States. And then season 3, we're looking at the Tao of Maya Angelou, who was his writing professor. We ended up writing a pilot script, and it's adapted as a streaming series. And we have a story arena now for episode 2. And now we're in the process of attaching talent above the line. And we're either going to do it indie or we're not, but we're going to do a hook or by crook either way. So that's where we at.
Nice.
That's right.
Looking forward to those, man.
My day job, I'm a creative producer at Unanimous Media, which is a multimedia production company founded by Stephen Curry in 2018. So we do faith, family, and sports, and underdogs stories, and stories of, trials and tribulations and overcoming against all odds.
Man, that's what's up. Now, speaking of Stephen Curry and Seth and the greatest of their era podcast, some people, may be new to it and maybe hearing about it for the very first time. I don't see who or what rock they've been under if they haven't heard of that particular podcast. But how is it, man, to be working on that podcast?
Oh, man, it's awesome. It's awesome. And thank you for the opportunity to plug it. Because we're just getting started. It's our first season. So we need all the listeners we can get.
Yeah.
But I'll give you the quick elevator pitch. And basically, greatest of the era, the acronym for that is GOAT, right? And typically when you think of the GOAT discussion in sports, it's GOAT, the greatest of all time, in barbershops. But that kind of like proffers a scenario that we'll never get the answer to. We'll never know Jordan or LeBron. Well, I know,
well, I know that answer. I know that answer.
I think we all know. But let's just say, we can't definitively say one or the other, or Wilt and Shaq, or all these things. And so it's like, okay, let's kind of recontextualize the conversation and the debate and bracket it into eras by decades, the 2010s, the 2000s, and so on back. And by doing so, you're actually giving the history of the NBA. You're talking about the evolution of the league and how the rules changed and how amorphous it was based on the play of certain players. And you're giving flowers to certain players that otherwise would just be overshadowed by a ridiculous hypothetical debate that we'll never get the answer to. So that's really what it is. It's really for real hoop heads who want to talk about, the greatest rebounders of the 90s, or who want to talk about the greatest shooting guards of the 1990s, which is the episode we had with Dale Curry, their father. We've had some wonderful guests so far. We've had Big Game James talk about the small floors of the 80s. It's a great pod. We've got Austin Rivers, Damian Lee, a whole bunch of guys, man. And we have a whole bunch more coming in. So it was created by Trevon Edwards, who's out of Compton. He's a former pro player who turned journalist. This brother is excellent and sharp, and he's really has a nice steady hand on the show. It originated because he and Seth and KD and all these other folks, they're on a group chat together. And these are the conversations they had. And he's like, let's make a pod out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm really fortunate to be, for that. And we did the inaugural episode during NBA All-Star Weekend, which was in the Bay, hosted in the Bay this year. So obviously our company had a presence there and a footprint. And Stephen, he came through and showed up and surprised his brother. We didn't tell Seth that Stephen was going to be a guest, because he was all-star and all these obligations. And he said, forget the media obligations. I'm going to hold my brother down. And their mom was there and everything. And it was awesome. And it's just a show that very quickly, way quicker than we thought, found its legs. And Seth has really blossomed on the mic. Thank you for the opportunity to plug the program. It's an iHeart original. Sure. You can get it on any platform where you get your podcast. GOTE. GOAT.
Yeah, man. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you can tell us about that's coming in the future that you're working on? Something that you're either writing or creating?
Well, my day job, aside from the GOAT podcast, I was brought in to kind of launch a whole slate. So we have a new deal. We being Unanimous Media has a new deal with iHeartMedia. It's a sports network, but sports again is kind of the tip of the spear that we kind of enter into our storytelling, and then we kind of like widen the aperture and tell more universally human stories. We have Kev on stage. We have him coming out with a show that's going to be kind of the nexus between sports and faith. But from a humorous point of view, I don't know if you're familiar with Kev. I mean, I call him like our modern day Sinbad. You just be like, your side will be sore, and then you realize, man, I didn't hear one curse word, but man, he's just pound for pound funny, and he's like a real family man. So he really epitomizes our brand and what we stand for, and what Stefan stands for as well. So we're really excited about that show. It's going to be called Not My Best Moment. And then on the personals, because I got my 9 to 5.
Right.
Oh, no, excuse me, I got my 5 to 9, and then I got my 9 to 5. So really hyper focused on Ali, man, the Tao of Ali, and really taking that to the distance. So that's where my head is at.
That's what's up, bro.
Good stuff, man. Like before we let you go, you talked about mentorship earlier. Is there any piece of advice that you can give the up and coming filmmakers or anyone that's interested in any aspect of the industry? Is there any piece of advice that you would give to them?
Live. Particularly if you're a writer, or they say, how dare someone sit down to write before they ever stood up to live? So live and be true to yourself. Like, what I have to say is not what you have to say or what you have to say. So I'm not saying it has to be serious or everything has to be like, art, high art. If that's not your thing, just be true to yourself, because once you get into this as a profession, by that time you have to know who you are, and you have to know who you're not. You have to know what you have to say and how to contribute. Otherwise, you'll just fall whimsy to every whim,
Right.
And I think you have to have something to offer that's unique, and you have to understand it's a marathon and not a sprint, and you have to find ways to fight through, and you have to want this and need this as much as you need air to breathe, because if not, you're not going to make it, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Sir.
Thank
Indeed.
you, man. Man, we appreciate you coming on the show today. And man, nothing but great things for you, man. We know you're full of greatness. The world knows it. They're going to see it, and we're just proud to be part of it and to say that we know you.
That's right.
I appreciate you, man. Feeling is mutual, and don't stop, man. Just keep doing your thing, and I'm proud of you brothers for just getting out there and taking a swing at this podcast thing. I remember when you were talking to me, when both of you were talking to me about it, and showing up is over 80% of the thing, man. So be kind to yourself, be patient with the process, trust the process, and just know it's only going to continue to get better. So you're in good shape, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you, brother.
Derek Jennings.
All right now.
All right.
Peace.